You are sitting at a nice restaurant, or maybe you are out on the golf course with friends. Someone tells a funny joke and you laugh, but then, a split second later, you feel that familiar cold panic. A little bit of urine just leaked out. You freeze, hoping nobody noticed, and suddenly a good day feels completely ruined. Here is an uncomfortable truth that most doctors will not tell you frankly. Over 25 million American seniors are dealing with this exact same thing right now, yet the vast majority are suffering in silence because they think it is just a normal, inevitable part of getting older. It is not. It is a medical condition, and ignoring it actually makes the bladder muscles weaker over time, meaning those little leaks today can turn into full-blown accidents next year if you do not step in. I am Dr. Carl. I have spent 16 years practicing as a urologist, helping thousands of men and women regain control of their bladders and their lives. Today, we are going over the 5 things you need to do immediately if you leak when you cough, laugh, sneeze, or lift your grandkids. We are going to look at the unexpected drinks that are irritating your bladder from the inside out, a daily habit that is secretly stretching your muscles out of shape, and how to properly train your body to stop the leaks before they happen. Make sure you pay close attention to number 3, because it is a common mistake related to how much water you drink that actually makes your leakage twice as bad, even though you think you are doing the right thing. Before we dive into the first step, I want to ask you a quick question. Let me know down in the comments, how long have you been noticing these little leaks, and has it started affecting your daily routine or your travel plans? I read every single comment personally, and your answers directly shape what medical topics I cover in these videos next. Now, the very first thing we need to address is what you are putting into your morning mug, specifically caffeine. Many of us love our morning coffee or a nice cup of black tea to start the day, especially in retirement when we finally have the time to sit and enjoy it. But caffeine is a double whammy for an aging bladder. First, it is a diuretic, which means it tells your body to produce more urine quickly. Second, and more importantly, caffeine is a direct bladder irritant. Think of your bladder like a balloon made of muscle. When caffeine hits that muscle, it causes it to twitch and spasm. If that muscle is already a bit weaker because we are getting older, and then you suddenly cough or laugh while that muscle is twitching from caffeine, the bladder cannot hold the door shut and urine escapes. Research from the American Urological Association has shown a strong link between high caffeine intake and increased severity of urinary incontinence in seniors. The action step I want you to take this week is simple. Do not worry, I am not telling you to give up your morning routine entirely, but swap just one of your regular coffees or teas for a high-quality decaf version, or cut your intake by half. If you take medications that already make you go to the bathroom, just make sure to have a quick conversation with your doctor at your next Medicare visit before making massive shifts in your fluid habits. The second thing you need to look at immediately is how you manage your bowel movements, specifically preventing constipation. Now, you might wonder what your bowels have to do with your bladder, since they seem like 2 completely different systems. But inside your pelvis, space is very tight. Your bladder sits directly in front of and right on top of your colon. When you are constipated and your bowels are full, that heavy, compacted stool puts constant physical pressure right against the back wall of your bladder. This leaves less room for your bladder to fill up normally, making you feel like you have to go all the time. Even worse, when you strain to pass a bowel movement, you are constantly pushing down and stretching out the pelvic floor muscles. These are the very hammock-like muscles that support your bladder and keep the urethra closed when you laugh or cough. If you stretch that hammock out over and over, it sags and it loses its grip. A major review published in the Journal of Urology highlighted that treating chronic constipation frequently leads to a significant improvement in bladder control and a reduction in accidental leaks among older adults. My challenge for you this week is to intentionally add 1 serving of fiber-rich foods to your diet every day, like a handful of prunes, a bowl of oatmeal, or a pear, and see how your bladder responds. Quick pause here. If this information is helping you connect the dots about what is going on with your body, please take a second to tap that like button. It really helps this video reach more seniors who are quietly struggling with this and need some honest, clear advice. And tell me in the comments, Did you know that your bowels could affect your bladder control like this? That brings us to number 3, which is fixing your daily water habits by avoiding the common trap of fluid restriction. When people start leaking when they cough or laugh, their very first instinct is usually to stop drinking water. It makes sense on the surface. You think if you do not put liquid in, liquid cannot leak out. But as a urologist, I see this backfire terribly all the time. When you reduce your water intake too much, your urine becomes highly concentrated, turning a dark amber color. This concentrated urine is full of waste products and acids that heavily irritate the sensitive lining of your bladder. It behaves almost like pouring rubbing alcohol on a scratch. Your bladder hates this irritation, so it starts cramping and trying to squeeze that concentrated fluid out, making you leak at the slightest sneeze or movement. Some studies suggest that staying properly hydrated actually calms the bladder lining down and reduces sudden and voluntary leaks. Your action step this week is to look at the color of your urine at the pharmacy counter or when you are at home. Aim for a pale, straw-like yellow. Drink small sips of water consistently throughout the day rather than chugging a whole glass at once, which can overwhelm your bladder. Fourth, we need to talk about a hidden culprit sitting right in your medication cabinet, and those are your blood pressure pills, specifically a class called alpha blockers or certain diuretics. Many seniors in their 60s and 70s take these daily to keep their heart healthy, which is incredibly important. However, alpha blockers work by relaxing the smooth muscles in your blood vessels, so blood can flow easily. The catch is that they also relax the smooth muscle tissue at the neck of your bladder and around the urethra, the tube you urinate through. When that muscular doorway is artificially relaxed by a pill, it cannot stay sealed when a sudden surge of pressure hits it from a cough, a laugh, or when you are lifting a heavy suitcase into the car. Many doctors are seeing patients whose leakage issues started or got significantly worse right after changing their cardiovascular prescriptions. Your clear action step here is to gather up your current prescription bottles and bring them to your next annual physical, or call your doctor's office. Ask them directly if any of your current medications could be relaxing your bladder or increasing your leaks, and see if there is a bladder-friendly alternative available for you. Never, under any circumstances, stop taking your blood pressure medication on your own. The fifth immediate step is learning how to do a proper pelvic muscle contraction, often called the knack, right before you cough or sneeze. Most people have heard of pelvic floor exercises, but they do them wrong, or they only do them while lying down in bed. To stop a leak when you laugh or cough, you need to use these muscles functionally in real time. Think of it like bracing your core before someone catches you off guard. Your pelvic floor muscles act like a physical clamp on the plumbing. If you can contract those muscles a split second before the pressure of a cough or a laugh hits your abdomen, you can physically lock the door and prevent the fluid from escaping. Clinical research from the American Urological Association shows that training patients to utilize this well-timed contraction dramatically reduces stress urinary incontinence episodes. Here is your action step for this week. Practice finding those muscles while you are sitting in a chair, reading, or watching television. Imagine you are trying to stop yourself from passing gas or trying to stop the flow of urine midstream. Squeeze inward and upward. Once you feel that muscle connection, make a conscious effort to squeeze and hold that clamp right before you let out a cough, a sneeze, or when you stand up from a deep couch. To show you how powerful these 5 steps can be when you combine them, let me tell you about a patient of mine named Robert. Robert is a 72-year-old retired accountant who spends his winters down in Naples, Florida. He loved playing golf 3 times a week, but he came into my office looking completely defeated. He told me he had started turning down golf invitations from his closest friends because every time he swung his driver, or every time the group shared a laugh at the clubhouse, he would leak right through his trousers. He was embarrassed, he felt isolated, and he was terrified he would have to start wearing bulky adult diapers just to leave the house. We sat down and looked at his habits. It turned out Robert was drinking 3 large cups of black coffee every morning, avoiding water all afternoon to try and stop the leaks, and he was taking an alpha blocker for his blood pressure. We worked together over the course of about 8 weeks. He switched to half decaf coffee, started sipping water steadily to dilute his urine, spoke to his primary doctor to safely adjust his medication timing, and learned how to engage his pelvic muscles right before he swung his golf club. Within 2 months, Robert called my office to report that his leaks had decreased by over 80%. He was back on the golf course, enjoying his retirement, and he had completely regained his confidence without needing surgery. If you want to achieve results like Robert, let us lay out tonight's plan with 5 simple, concrete action steps you can start right now. First, replace your afternoon coffee or caffeinated soda with water or an herbal, non-citrus tea. Second, add a serving of high-fiber food to your dinner tonight to keep your bowels moving smoothly and keep pressure off your bladder. Third, monitor your urine color tomorrow morning and adjust your water intake so it stays a pale, clear yellow. Fourth, write down a note to call your doctor's office this week to review your current medications for bladder side effects. Fifth, practice 3 sets of 5-second pelvic muscle squeezes tonight while sitting comfortably in your favorite chair so you can start building that muscle memory. Bladder leaks when you laugh or cough are incredibly frustrating, but as we discussed, they are often just a sign that your bladder lining is irritated or your pelvic muscles need a bit of strategic support. But what if your bladder issues are happening mostly at night, waking you up 3, 4, or 5 times to run to the bathroom and destroying your sleep? In my next video, I am going to reveal the single most common evening snack that seniors eat right before bed that secretly fills your bladder with fluid while you sleep, and the simple legs up routine you should do at 5 o'clock every evening to drain fluid out of your ankles before it turns into nighttime urine. I am Dr. Carl. Stay well, and I will see you there.